running a gimmick, which he actually just did a couple of hours ago. And I believe Wario Land 3 is on the wait list, but that is far from confirmed. Currently, our donation total is $1,234.56 out of a total of $4,500. And as much as I love that number, donation totals, much like speedruns, were meant to be broken. All right, yeah. Just give us a second, guys. We're trying to get the audio balance set up here and make sure the commentators as well as the streams can be heard. Just want to make sure Sloop has a good audio balance going here. It's going to be a really good race here. We have USA versus Japan. Both of these runners are amazing at this game. And Mega Man 6, I feel like, is one of the less appreciated Mega Man games. And it looks like we have our friend Dark Terex here to do some commentary.
Hi. I am indeed here for commentary.
Glad to have you, DT. So, Mega Man 6. I was just saying, I feel like it's probably one of the less appreciated classic Mega Man games. Would you agree with that?
Yes, most definitely. Most people after 3 didn't pay as much attention. Some of them went on to 4, and then 5 and 6 kind of were on the bottom end for most people when they played them. 6 was a little bit different in the fact that it was released so late in the NES cycle that a lot of people just didn't even play it until later on, so they didn't care. But it doesn't make it a bad game.
certainly not a bad game, and both Ohon and PP are very, very strong at this game. I had to go check real quick. It's been a long time since I've looked at the leaderboards, but I believe that they're 1 and 2 with very close times.
Yes, they are very, very close. Ohon has the record at 34.08, and Ppotdot recently got a 34.16. Ppotdot did take record from Ohon at one point, but he held it for 2 days before Ohon said no. And then got that 34.08. Alright, but as far as the speedrun goes, we start with Windman here because in this stage, the fastest way is actually just to buster through it. It is a lot easier if you have something like Tomahawk or Knight, if you decided to use Flame Man first or another route. But it still is actually faster to use just buster straight through it. The biggest thing about Mega Man 6 that people would notice, at least as far as speedrunners go, is this run revolves around slide canceling. The previous Mega Man games in 3, 4, and 5, when they added the slide, you could jump out of your slide, but you can't do that in 6. Instead, it cancels it. So you have to double tap A in order to jump out of it, or you have to turn back in order to jump. So this game is very, very movement heavy for how the speedrun goes, rather than trick heavy. But because of that, it makes it a pretty difficult speedrun. Now, in the Windman fight, you'll see Ppotdot trying to go for something to save a few frames. He's going to be trying to slide back and forth as fast as he can in place. I don't know if Ohon's going to go for that, doesn't look like it, but what that does is if you slide back and forth quickly, it actually charges the buster up faster by a few frames. But that also is rather difficult to do since you have Windman pushing and pulling you everywhere, so you have to try and compensate for that at the same time. Both excellent stages, though. Alright, for Mega Man 6, also, this route is just the straight-up boss order. Some other games, it's a little faster to go to other levels first. This one, it's definitely faster just to go straight through the boss order. So we're going to go to Flame Man next. And this stage is also Buster only. Windstorm is actually kind of a laggy weapon if you have more than one of them out on the screen. So it doesn't really do us much good until the boss fight. However, the weapon we get from Flame Man is the most used weapon in the game. A lot of people would call it Mega Man 6's Metal Blade. The Flame Blast just wrecks through everything. And doesn't cause a lot of lag at all, so it's very, very useful. Alright, one thing that's interesting about Mega Man 6 is, like, with Flame Man Stage, for example, those oil pits that they're in, those can get lit on fire by the fire tellies or these fire boys. And if they are lit on fire, those actually stay through deaths until you game over. So hazards, you know, they never go away in that case, in that regard, given you don't game over. Just an interesting mechanic they added to it. Oh, unfortunate death by Ppotdot. It was on the last screen. That's a pretty hefty one, but I think he can catch up pretty easily. What happened with Ohon, though, is he was able to take damage and then damage boost across those flames. Flames that act as spikes. It's one-hit death. So when Ohon did it, he was able to take damage from one of the flames before he hit the ground, and then he was able to just slide across them with a damage boost. Flame Man is a pretty random fight. A lot of the fights in Mega Man 6 have a lot of RNG to them. Flame Man, you want him to just kind of stand in place, but he doesn't like to do that. He likes to jump around everywhere. If he does small hops, it's not too bad. You can still usually hit him. The high jumps, you can't do too much about. You just have to hope that he doesn't do them. Alright, Blizzard Man stage is a really fun stage. Funnily enough, the slide canceling actually makes ice physics fun, in my opinion. If you notice here on Ohon's screen, he's going to slide cancel with A, and then turn around. If he slide canceled by turning around, he would actually be wearing back on the ice. Whereas now, if he uses the A cancel instead, it keeps his forward momentum, so you try and use that to your advantage throughout this stage. Keep that forward momentum. That submarine that Ohon was just on, you can actually get through that in one cycle. It's pretty tricky because the submarine likes to cancel your slides for you, which throws off your timing. However, let's see if Ppotdot can get it. He's pretty consistent at it. It saves a couple of seconds to get it. Doesn't look like it wasn't quite able to get there. It's pretty tricky to get all your slides in correctly. Another trick here at the end of Blizzard Man stage is a very risky strategy that is really stupid to go for in a marathon, or at least in a race, because if you die, you lose 40 seconds. What the trick is, you can actually get underneath those bombs that Ppotdot just exploded without, exploding them. You have to hope that there's a subpixel there on the side of the ice pillar. If it's there, you can bounce off of it and go straight into the boss gate, and that saves about 4 seconds. If not, you lose about 40 to 50 seconds due to death. So it's a pretty risky strategy to do in a race. You'll notice that Ppotdot and Ohon will sometimes be walking against the right wall if they end their fight there. Only if they end the fight there, though. If you walk around right after you kill a boss, it's pretty laggy. But if you actually are on the right side of the screen against the wall, it actually reduces lag, so you want to hope that you can end your fight while staying on the right side of the wall, and then you can just reduce all the lag that would happen otherwise, and get out of the stage faster. Now Ohon here is going to attempt to do these gorillas in one jump. Yeah, awesome. There are 2 of these in this stage. That's 6 inputs that they have to do. They have to jump, and then they have to do 6 attack inputs in order to be able to kill those in one jump. It's pretty tight timing. Didn't quite get the second one. And Ppotdot didn't quite get the first. It's kind of funny looking back, or discussing this game with some of the others, which ones people find easier. I've always found the first one to be the easier of the 2 gorillas, but I know Ppotdot definitely finds the second one to be easier, so it's just kind of funny. Now, looking at Ohon, what he just did, he jumped across these platforms here, and with the platforms, you're supposed to shoot those open with the Buster. But we're not going to do that because that's slow switching to Buster and then having to switch back. Instead, we're just going to jump on the top of them with, and traverse that way. Now, when you jump on top of those platforms, as you saw Ppotdot just do, you only have 4 frames in order to actually get off of those. If you don't, you will just fall straight through them and die. So it's a pretty difficult trick to get used to, but pretty consistent at the same time. Now, you see that fight that Ohon just did, and Ppotdot will try and get it as well. If you stand on a certain hitbox, yeah, Ppotdot just got it. If you stand on a certain hitbox on some of the bosses, or rather, a certain pixel in the hitbox of the... If their next animation is a run cycle, then the game gets confused and just makes them run across the bottom of the floor without doing any other action for a few seconds. So with Plant Man, that's extremely useful because he puts up a shield every time. in between his attacks, but he's also guaranteed to run afterwards, so it's actually really easy to just get into that hitbox, make him run across the bottom of the stage, and you can actually one-cycle him that way. He gives you the right pattern. You can also do that with bosses, Lizardman and Nightman, but their run cycles are not guaranteed to happen, so it's not really worth trying to go for it because you can't really manipulate it. You just would have to hope and see if they'd go for it. Tomahawk Man stage is a fairly simple stage, pretty straightforward, just slide and shoot throughout it. This would be a good time for donations if there are any.
Let me check real quick. We do not have any new donations, but I guess we could instead plug what the stream's all about, since there seems to be quite the influx of people. So this is JRTA Marathon. It is a community-driven marathon in order to get two Japanese runners, Ohon, who you see on screen, and Ppotdot, who ran Gimmick about 2 hours ago, out to JRTA2 2016. We're looking to raise $4,500 to cover their travel costs, and so far we've raised $1,234.56. I love saying that number, but I also wish it would change.
Yeah.
And both of them do have confirmed runs in the marathon. Ohon will be running Mega Man 6, see him doing it here right now, as well as Castlevania 3, and Ppotdot will be doing Mr. Gimmick.
The Tomahawk Fight is a little scary in my opinion. A couple of the fights are because they only give you exact ammo with, say, the plant barrier here. You only get 7 shots of it, so from there you have to attempt to make sure you don't fire it too early so that you're still stuck in the iframes of what Tomahawk has. But you don't want to fire it too late so you're not wasting time, so it's a little tricky trying to get the timing down correct on him, and later on Windman when you use his weakness. In the refights, it's the same deal. Yamato Man has one of the shorter stages of the game. Again, lots of sliding and going forward. There's a few lag reduction stats, like on the Dragonfly screen that you saw Ohon earlier, and Ppotdot's about to get to. You're trying to kill certain certain dragonflies so that you reduce how many enemies are on screen and still don't have to stop. The bombs that they drop are incredibly laggy as well, so you're trying to avoid having them drop those. Now you notice that they are switching to go to this top route here, rather than go to the bottom route, the normal route. The top route is a lot faster than the bottom route, even though it's the alternative route. The bottom route has an extra, I think, 4 screens to it that are a little long. So top route is much faster, despite the weapon changes.
I think that top route is the first time we see either of the Rush adapters in the run too. If you want to talk about them, they're a little unique to Mega Man 6.
Yeah, so in the previous Mega Man games, you have Rush, and he does... Usually you have Rush Coil and Rush Jet in those games. But in Mega Man 6, excuse me, they took out Coil, and they gave you Jet, but it's a little different in this one. This time they gave you a Jet Pack, with a limited use in a certain jump. Or in any given jump, rather. And then they also gave you the Power Suit, which does a lot of damage and can break open some blocks, which you'll see later on, used for some bosses so that we can conserve ammo on the Wily stages. No other games have those ones either. It's just... excuse me, Mega Man 7 has them, but otherwise none of the others do. And you see Ohon going for strategy here in Night. Ooh, that was a little close. That was incredibly close. the ceiling skip there, you essentially just slide forward and you pause right before the spikes kill you while you're in the middle of your slide. And the spikes keep moving for a second or a few frames. And it gives you just enough time that you can switch, and then as you're coming out of the menu, it still moves. That you can just switch over to Yamato spheres and kill the enemies and continue without dying. Looks like they both got that. That's good.
So if we have a moment, DT, we actually have 2 new donations.
Oh, awesome. Go for it.
We have a $13.60 donation from Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. And we have a $10 donation from Wartable, which says Ganbate in kanji.
Thank you very much for the donations. Well, it looks like Papa had another unfortunate death. This room is very, very scary. Any enemy can, drop any random drop at any given time after killing them. But the problem with that room is that the enemies are right next to a spike pit, essentially, everywhere. Oh, another unfortunate death and a game over from Ppotdot. But that room was really scary because once you get those drops, you're often in the middle of a slide and don't really have time to stop your slide. So it's a little scary trying to say, oh, I am gonna go for these slides, because you risk dying every single time in that room. Let me see Ohon try and jump underneath. Okay, good. He jumped underneath that, what we call Metroids. That's actually a very difficult jump because you have to cancel your slide early enough to jump across the gap. Because if you cancel late, the game for some reason applies water physics to you, so you end up just floating straight up rather than doing a small hop like you're supposed to. If you do a full jump, you'll take a hit and you'll die. So, that actually was good that he got that. It's pretty difficult to get used to, that jump. Another trick you'll see him going for here is he's going to manipulate these enemies to where he can damage boost and slide across the spikes there. That was well done. Nightman is another trolley boss, just like Flame Man was as far as the jumping goes. He likes to just jump around really high to where you can't hit him, so you hope that he just stays in place, that you can hit him consistently.
So we actually had a very generous $78.84
Wow.
donation from Anonymous, bringing our total to 1337 flat. I dare you, who will be the one to break this number?
One great number after another.
And there was no real comment, but they had wanted us to put it towards the Cave Story incentive to get Curly's Panties, which is coming up in a few hours. And with that donation, it is only $9.53 short of being met.
Alright. So now you'll see Ohon heading into the Mr. X stages. The plot of this game is that you have Mr. X, who started this first annual robot tournament. And the top 8 robots of these tournament, he decided to reprogram so that he could use them to take over the world with. So that's why you are fighting all of these robots here, is because they were all in this robot tournament and were reprogrammed by Mr. X to work for him, essentially. Ooh, okay, good. That's a pretty scary trick. It's not necessarily hard to do, but it's still scary that Ohon did. The fast jet. Essentially, you have to hover, so you have to mash A, and you have to mash B to kill the turret that's in the air. If you just hold A, you'll go past it and fly into the spikes. And he also went for another risky trick, like a very risky trick. He saved 30 frames at that window where he had to open it up with the power suit. This is the first instance you'll see the power suit. Instead of doing what the intended solution is, where you have to jump up to the second one, then you fall down to the first one again, and then you jump up to the second one. It's really easy to do, but you can actually just jump straight across if your jump is short enough, and save 30 frames that way, but it's really risky. Now, the X and Wily bosses, unlike the 8 robots, they don't have iframes. So we can abuse that, as you saw in Ohon's. He was able to throw down a bunch of the flames ahead of time, and all of them would just straight up hit the Rounder 2 boss. What you saw Ohon just do there, he paused a little too early. When you're in a slide animation with Mega Man, you can't swat. I can't speak. You can't switch to the jet or the power suit because neither one of those can slide. So you actually have to unpause, wait until you get out of the slide animation, and then pause again to swap to them.
Let me know when we have a moment to do.
Sure, let me explain this boss and then we'll be good. So here we have probably everybody, if you played this as a kid, this is probably the boss that you got stuck on the most. Power Piston is a really difficult fight to get used to because you have all these rocks falling everywhere that you have to dodge. You have to dodge all the attacks that he has, and he has a random pattern if he just goes up or down on the wall, and you have to attempt to hit him with that while dodging everything else. So it's a pretty tricky fight on your first few playthroughs, but in my opinion, I think it's one of the more fun fights to try and do, because you're constantly doing something and keeping track of where things are falling at. And you're good now.
Alright, so, we asked for someone to break up that lead total, and of all people, Pi agreed to it with a $30 donation, saying, "Keep up the great marathon, everyone," and put this towards Maid Cam for Oxless. Oxless Maid Cam, definitely something you don't want to miss. Thank you very much, Pi, for your donation and for the raid. And we also had a $9.53 donation from... I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce this name. IMUADDIB, who says, "Awesome race so far."
Alright, so now you see Ohon on X3, which is a really scary stage in a speedrun. It's actually one of, if not the easiest stage to run, but at the same time, if like one thing goes wrong, you're instantly dead, because the entire stage is just a huge pit, essentially. So, essentially, all you have to do is switch to jet, keep moving forward, and attempt to not get hit. Like I said, if you get hit, you fall straight into the pit and have to start over. And you'll see him with the best animation in the game there with the power suit. If you use the power suit in the middle of a boss store animation, he likes to just continuously punch. But the reason that he switched to power suit rather than switching to Blizzard Attack, the normal weapon for this boss, is because we need to conserve that for the refights. In all the Mega Man games, at least for Classic, you don't get any refills for the boss, or for the Castle and Wily stages, so you have to conserve your ammo throughout. And that was a very good fight by, actually, both for their respective bosses. Also, the best boss name ever named in this game in the Mega Man series was that boss that Ohon fought. His name is Matongar Z. I don't know why, but it's the best name ever.
But does it compare with Duff McWhalen?
Does it compare with Duff McWhalen? I'm not sure about that. But as far as what it's named, I mean, that was the best emote idea that I ever had. It set itself up perfectly. X4, where Ohon is at, is, in my opinion, and most people's opinion, the hardest stage in the game. It is very scary, very difficult to do. This spot with the Coltons, ooh, that was actually already kind of scary. If they drop anything there, it's very likely that you'll die, given the platforms that you're walking on are so small. It throws off your timing that fast. And the whole stage, again, is just like X3, it's in a huge pit. Except this time, instead of flying over it, we're just gonna walk over everything and attempt to kill stuff along the way. So the same thing that happened here on the last fight, he's gonna use Power Suit, because we need to conserve Flame Blast for the refights. Alright, and Ohon did a strategy there, that Golden found, when he ran this game, is when you hold down jump during that screen transition, you can essentially buffer the jump. So you'll hold your charge attack as you go through the screen door, or the transition, hold down A, and then after the boss health starts to fill, you let go of B and just hold down A, and he'll automatically jump up and hit him, but you do take damage for it, so you have to make sure you have enough health, and be confident enough to do that if you have low health. And, as you can see on Ohon's screen, we have the plot revealed, though his was in Japanese. We'll see it on Ppotdot later. But the real villain is Mr. Wily, who knew that a pair of sunglasses could fool everyone. And we're now after Wily. And the Wily stages are actually fairly short, but this first stage here, this is essentially a big vertical falling section, but we can go through this shortcut that Ohon is going through, and make it a lot faster. Now this I find a little interesting. Normally we switch to Yamato Spears here. Ah, I see. He's going for a refill here versus later on in X3. Okay. Or not X3, Wily 3. But normally you switch to the Yamato Spear earlier on, because that's what this boss's weakness is. This boss is notoriously the worst boss in Mega Man. I mean, as much as I love Mega Man 6, I will fully say that this is the worst boss ever for speedrunning. Because this boss, we like to call Mechasaurus, as his real name is, we like to call him Puff the Magic Hitbox. Because he likes to just eat all of your ammo, as you saw there. He just ate one of Ohon's shots. So you just have to hope that he takes damage. If he doesn't, then you're just kind of out of luck and lose time. You see on Ppotdot's screen the best typo ever. They failed to spell failed. Wily 2 is a fairly short stage. There's a bit of a tight jump here that you see Ohon going for. Okay, good, he got it. That ice jump is a little tricky. You have to jump on the very edge of that box to get up there that quickly. He actually got a really nice drop. Normally we don't want drops, but this is one stage that we would want them. Because now he has a lot of extra Flame Blast. Flame Blast is not laggy at all, like I said earlier in the run, whereas Windstorm is. The boss to this level is Windstorm, for his weakness. So normally we run out of enough flame we use flame enough to where we, have to switch to Windstorm halfway through to preserve the rest of it for the refights, but because he got that drop there, it actually made it go faster because there was no lag whatsoever to go through those jumps. And the boss to X2 is just a pushover. Shoot Windstorm at its mouth and it's dead. Now, the Wily 3 stage for Mega Man 6, this is always the refight stage in the classic games, or usually is anyway. It's a bit different in 6 because there's a lot of places that you can die, and in the previous ones, they're a lot shorter and you go kind of straight into the refights, but this one you have to do a little bit beforehand and have to be careful. You use the fans that were there to push and pull you accordingly to get through it quickly. Alright, you see Ppotdot opting for a double shot attack on Mechasaurus. Something I rarely see him do, actually. The double shot is a little bit safer in a way to fight Mechasaurus because it almost guarantees that one of your 2 shots will hit him. But even then it doesn't guarantee it. The risk with that is that you use a lot more ammo, so you have to try and make sure that you have enough for Nightman in the refights still. The refights in Mega Man 6, you just start in the top right corner and work your way around. There's a bit of variance at the end of it. Plant Man and Yamato Man are the last 2. Most people go up to Yamato Man, the top one, first, and then down to the middle one on the left side. But it is slightly faster to do it the other way around. The reason that people don't do it is because the jump to make it from Yamato's capsule over to the middle is very tight. And if you miss it, you end up wasting a couple of seconds by falling. Oh no, Ppotdot had another unfortunate death. What he's trying to go for here often is these slides. Shoutouts to Raiden the Quick, who found that with these slides right here, that platform that Ppotdot was on, that is the full length of Mega Man slide, so those got dubbed Raidens. The full slide just got dubbed the name Raiden over that, so when you get to Wily 2, it's just kind of, oh, do I go for the Raidens or not? Because it's really risky trying to do a full slide on there and not cancel your slide and waste the frames. Centaur Man being a bit of a jerk to Ohon, teleporting. When that happens, you can't hit him at all. Just gotta hope that he runs instead. Looks like Ohon's gonna go for the plant first route. And again, right here, he's gonna attempt to get in that hitbox, and he got it there with Plant Man. That just causes them to run around the screen, making the fight much, much faster than what it normally would be, because you can't hit him otherwise when he has the shield up. Yamato Man, I'm not sure I explained this earlier, Yamato Man's fight is actually one of the easiest fights in this game because he is very predictable. Not entirely, but very predictable. Let's see, oh, Ohon didn't quite get the jump. But anyway, the Yamato fight, what happens is he has 2 attacks. He can either throw the spear at you, or he can jump. But he can only do one of those 2 actions twice in a row, so if he does, 2 jumps, he is guaranteed to do a throw on the next one. So you can predict everything that he does based around that. He does have the possibility of doing one over the other if he only does one, but even still, he's one of the most predictable in the game due to that. So Ohon just got a refill with the Tomahawk, and that's because all 3 phases of this Wily fight are weak to Tomahawk. So get ready in time, it'll be the last hit on the capsule. But he's gonna attempt to just go through this quickly. Oh, very nice first phase. Killing him on the left side there is very, very quick. Alright, second phase is good as well, and now it's a bit of RNG as to where he spawns, and you just have to hope that he spawns in a good spot. You only have 2 shots to miss as well in this fight on all 3 phases combined, so he's already missed his 2. He has to hit them both. Alright, time. Well done for Ohon. Ppot's got 3 refights left and then the final fight, so he's not too far behind. Oh, he's getting a really trolly pattern from Nightman here. Nightman is just giving him all the high jumps. Oh, that is unfortunate. Again, Nightman and Flameman are the 2 that just like to jump around and not let you hit them, even though they have no iframes.
It looks like Ohon's time was about a 34:43-ish.
Wow, that's awesome, actually. That would be on the leaderboards, that would be a 3rd place time. 3rd place is tied with Fast at CC and Hodarubi at 34:50. So that is an excellent, excellent marathon time. We'll see if Ppot gets this jump here. Oh, no. Did the same thing as Ohon. It's a very tight jump. You only have a couple of pixels to jump off and get over. Otherwise you fall off or you don't make it at all. Oh, another thing to note here with this, where you'll see as Ppot gets this refill, on that first screen, you don't want to slide off of that ledge there. For some reason, if you slide off the ledge, it doesn't allow you to move and grab the ammo refill on the next screen. So you have to walk off of it or jump off of the edge, otherwise you'll just fly straight past it and you won't have the ammo you need and you have to use Power Sleep for the first 2 phases of Wily. Excellent first phase by Ppot. That was a really good second phase as well. Now, just gotta see what RNG he gets as well. There's only one spot on the screen that you cannot hit Wily from, and that's the top middle one, so it's really bad. GG. That's time for Ppot. And he didn't get any of the bad spawns, so that's good.
Yeah, well done to both of them. And speaking of Mega Man 6, Ohon, Ppot, and you actually offered this game for HDQ, and I don't know personally if this is going to be a race or if Ohon is going to do it as a solo run, but...
I have no idea. We've been wondering for a while, so we'll see how that goes.
But yeah, that was a great performance, and Ohon
Yes.
is one of the 2 people that we are actually raising money for to get them to AGDQ 2016, where he will be running this game as well as Castlevania 3. The other runner is Record, who is running Tripworld. And that's what we're here to do this weekend. This is JRTA. We are raising, or attempting to at least raise, $4,500 to bring over 2 very talented Japanese runners to put on a great show for us at AGDQ 2016.
What do we got coming up next?
Next up we have Chocobo Racing.
Ooh, awesome. With that then, that's my commentary, so I think I will bow out and hand it over to the next person as you set up.
Alright, well thank you so much for coming, DT, and really hope to see you on stage with 2 of those guys.
I hope so. I hope so. Alright, talk to you later.
Hello.
Hello.
You just let me know when to go and I'll be ready to go.
Sure thing, just give Sloop a moment to change the overlays and get the stream set up.
Yep.
Hello. Real quick, before
let me
we
know when to
start,
go and I'll be ready to
Yaru, just to make sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly, it's Yaru Masai, correct?
Yurimasi, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Masi, gotcha. My Japanese is weak.